In the heart of 12th century England, during the turbulent reign of King Stephen, something extraordinary happened in the quiet, unassuming village of Woolpit. Something that would puzzle historians and storytellers for centuries to come. It was a time of harvest, the fields golden, and the air thick with the scent of freshly cut wheat. But this year's harvest would be remembered for something far more unusual than its yield. Near one of the wolf pits used to trap predators on the edge of St. Mary's churchland, villagers stumbled upon a sight that defied all logic. Two children, a boy and a girl, huddled together in bewilderment. But these were no ordinary lost children. The most shocking detail was their skin. It had a distinct, unnatural green hue, like freshly sprouted leaves. Their clothes were woven from a material no one recognized, and when they spoke, it was in a torrent of sounds, a language utterly incomprehensible to the Suffolk locals who gathered around them. They looked frightened and alone, two strange figures in a familiar world. The compassionate villagers brought the children back to the home of a local landowner, Sir Richard de Colin, but the mystery only deepened. The children were offered food bread, meat, all the staples of a 12th century diet. Yet they refused everything. They would shake their heads, their green faces etched with a sorrowful confusion, turning away from every meal placed before them. For days they ate nothing, growing weaker and weaker, their strange arrival turning into a desperate fight for survival. The villagers watched, helpless and bewildered. What kind of children would starve themselves when offered sustenance? It seemed as if the food of this world was as alien to them as they were to it. Then came the turning point, a moment of pure, unexpected discovery. Some villagers brought in freshly harvested broad beans from the fields, still in their pods. The children's eyes lit up with recognition. With a sudden burst of energy, they frantically motioned for the beans. Ignoring the pods, they broke them open and devoured the raw beans inside as if they were the most delicious food they had ever tasted. It was their first meal in this new world, a strange and simple feast that finally broke their fast. For a long time, beans were all they would eat. As time passed, the children began to adapt, though their paths would diverge tragically. The boy, who was younger and appeared more frail, remained withdrawn and melancholic. He never lost his green pallor, and despite the care he received, he grew weaker and sadly passed away not long after they were baptized. The girl, however, proved to be more resilient. She was given the name Agnes, slowly, miraculously, as she began to eat a more varied diet of bread and other foods. The green tint of her skin faded away, replaced by the natural complexion of the local people. She adapted to her new life, found work as a servant, and began the slow, arduous process of learning English. Once she could communicate, the villagers, burning with curiosity, finally asked her the question that had been on everyone's mind since that fateful harvest day. Where did she come from? Her story was even more fantastical than they could have imagined. She described a land called St. Martin's Land. It was not a place of bright sunshine like England, but a land of perpetual twilight. There was no sun as they knew it, only a constant, dim glow. And in this world, everything and everyone was green. She explained that she and her brother had been herding their father's flock when they heard a loud, captivating sound like the ringing of many bells. Drawn by the enchanting noise, they wandered into a cave. They walked through the darkness for a long, long time, following the sound of the bells until they suddenly emerged into the blinding sunlight of the Woolpit field. The sudden brightness and heat disoriented them, and they were unable to find their way back to the cave entrance. They were lost, trapped in a world that was not their own. This incredible tale was recorded by not one, but two respected chroniclers of the time. William of Newburgh, in his History of English Affairs, written in the 1180s, treated the story with serious consideration, stating he was long in doubt but was overwhelmed by the testimony of so many trustworthy witnesses. Decades later, Ralph of Coggeshall, an abbot at a nearby monastery, also documented the event in his English chronicle, claiming to have heard the story directly from Sir Richard de Colin himself, in whose household Agnes later worked for many years. The existence of these two independent, near-contemporary accounts gives the legend a weight that most folktales lack. It wasn't just a story told around a fire. It was recorded as a real event by learned men of the era. So what are we to make of this bizarre piece of medieval history? Theories have abounded for centuries. Some modern interpretations offer rational explanations. One idea is that the children were suffering from a type of anemia called chlorosis, which can give the skin a greenish tint and is caused by severe malnutrition. Their strange diet of beans could have eventually corrected this deficiency, causing the green color to fade. Their unfamiliar language and clothing could suggest they were Flemish immigrants, perhaps from a nearby settlement, who became lost and traumatized. There was a significant Flemish population in eastern England at the time, and they faced persecution under King Stephen's successor. Perhaps they were orphans fleeing conflict, their story of a subterranean world, a child's distorted memory of their traumatic journey. But other theories lean into the fantastic. Could St. Martin's Land have been a place not on our world, but within it? The idea of a hollow earth, a subterranean world with its own inhabitants, has been a recurring theme in folklore and fiction. Were the children accidental travelers from an underground civilization? Or perhaps the most popular and enduring theory, were they visitors from another world entirely? Extraterrestrials accidentally transported to Earth? Their green skin, strange diet, and incomprehensible language all feed into this compelling, otherworldly narrative. The cave they walked through could be interpreted as a wormhole or a portal between dimensions. Hundreds of years have passed since that harvest day in Woolpit. The story of the green children has been told and retold, analyzed by historians, and embraced by those who believe in the unexplained. It remains a perfect blend of historical record and folklore, a mystery embedded in the very soil of England. The account is just detailed enough to be believable, yet just strange enough to defy any simple explanation. It forces us to confront the limits of our understanding of the past. Were they lost orphans, suffering from a known medical condition, their tale warped by time and memory? Were they inhabitants of a hidden, subterranean world, stumbling into ours by chance? Or were they visitors from another world, the first and perhaps only evidence of contact with a life beyond our own? The truth remains one of England's greatest and most enchanting medieval mysteries, a whispered question carried on the wind through the fields of Woolpit. Thanks for watching, and if you love diving into historical enigmas, make sure to follow for more.